that story of Jesus meeting the woman at the well. So Jesus comes to the well. He meets this person, and something different happens than when he had a conversation with Nicodemus. Remember the conversation with Nicodemus? Nicodemus asks a question. Jesus tries to explain it. Nicodemus is like, I don't get it. Jesus tries to explain it more. Nicodemus is like, I still don't get it. In this conversation, he has a conversation with a person who converses with him. This is an intelligent woman who knows her stuff. And they have a conversation. The conversation leads to the woman understanding what Jesus means by, I am like living water. So here's how it goes. Jesus comes up. He's been walking for a long time, so he's going to be thirsty. He needs water. He, of course, comes to a well without a bucket because he's been traveling. He has no way to get the water. There's a Samaritan woman there who helps him. She gives him water. They strike up a conversation. Jesus reveals, not only am I living water, this is the first time in the Gospel of John, and by the way, this is a thing in the Gospel of John. This is the first time that Jesus uses the words, I am. Now that sounds familiar. It should, because that's also, by the way that God describes God to Moses. Who shall I say has sent me, says Moses, and God says, I am. That is my name. I am. So here's the first time Jesus says, I am, and he'll go on to say things like, I am the light of the world and I am the bread of the world, all of these things. But the very first time he says the words I am is to someone he's not supposed to be talking to. And yet, more important than the fact that it's someone he's not supposed to be talking to, he's talking with them. They're having a conversation. There's a back and forth. A relationship has been established. In this encounter, a relationship has been established in which this woman comes to understand who Jesus is. And then she goes off to tell other people. And those people need to see Jesus suddenly. It's like, wow, that's incredibly awesome. Let's go see Jesus. So they do. And there's a whole conversation in the story, this whole sidebar conversation with the disciples about all of this. But they come back, they see Jesus, and of course, they believe. And I think the story actually ends in the end. It says something like Jesus hangs around for a few extra days because he's met people who want to see him and want to talk to him. That is, by the way, I think the way in which Jesus most significantly impacts the world in all of the stories about Jesus in the Bible. It's the part nobody ever says anything about because it's not there, right? We read all the miracle stories, but how often does it say stuff like, how often does it take 42 verses to say, Jesus sat around and talked with people? He listened to what they had to say, and he had conversations with them. It doesn't say that very often, but I think that's the most important thing that Jesus did. He had conversation. That's how people came to understand. The water of life is love. The well is that moment of encounter, that relationship.